Hello friends, welcome back to JK Shah classes. Today we'll be doing revision of NRI taxation or taxation of non-resident Indian. Chapter 12A it is. Previously we discussed chapter 12 special rates of tax. This chapter is kind of continuation of that chapter. This chapter has 7 sections ranging between section 115C till 115I. C, D, E, F, G, H, I. On the parallel lines, just like previous chapter, here also specified income of a specified person, that is particular income of a particular person will be taxable at a particular specified rate. But the only thing is here the specified person is one single person, NRI, non-resident Indian. So here the person should be not only non-resident, he should be Indian also. He should be Indian also. Indian would mean either citizen of India or a person of Indian origin. However, you don't need to remember this because it will be given in the question that he is NRI. Right. So this chapter is same as previous chapter. Here also 4 restrictions. Income to be computed here which will be taxed at specified rate. There are 2 incomes which will be taxed under this chapter, and for both the incomes no deduction will be allowed for any expenditure incurred to earn the income except for transfer expense for capital gain. No expenditure, no chapter 6A deduction, no basic exemption, and no indexation in case of long-term capital gain. Indexation is not allowed otherwise also. 23rd July 2024 onwards, Nirmala Sitharaman ji has made changes. Indexation not allowed to anybody. 2 incomes will be covered by this chapter. 7 sections, 2 incomes. What is the difference between chapter 12 and this chapter, chapter 12A? One of the major differences is that previous chapter most of the provisions were mandatory. Like winning from lottery, 30% tax rate. You didn't have any option to choose between slab rate tax or 30% tax rate, compulsorily 30% with same restriction. Here this chapter is optional, meaning thereby non-resident Indian can go for either this chapter whereby 2 incomes will be taxable at specified rate with 4 restrictions, or alternatively the NRI can choose to go for slab rates where everything will be allowed, whatever is possible. Of course indexation is no more allowed to anybody, where everything will be allowed, no restriction, but tax rate will be slab rates applicable to people like you and me. Only thing is, being non-resident cannot claim higher basic exemption under old scheme of 3 lakhs and 5 lakhs, which is applicable only for senior citizen resident and resident very senior citizen. These 2 cannot be claimed, and non-residents can also opt for 115 BSC subsection 1A new tax regime, whereby basic exemption is 3 lakh for everyone. So which 2 incomes are taxable under this chapter? 2 incomes are number 1 investment income, that is recurring income from foreign exchange asset. I call it as forex asset. Second income is long term capital gain. Short terms are not covered here, only long term arising from transfer of same foreign exchange asset without indexation, but after claiming transfer expense like brokerage, stamp duty, etc. Investment income would be taxed at 20% flat rate, but long term capital gains, if transferred till 22nd July 2024, then last year's tax rate 20%, and if transferred on or after 23rd July 24, then 12.5%. Of course plus surcharge plus health and education cess, but before that, apart from these 2 incomes, it's quite possible that NRI may have some other taxable income also in India. If any other income, if it is taxable in India, see, first of all, he is not going to be taxed for global income, he is non-resident. So income earned outside India is not going to be taxable in India. What will be taxable by other income? We mean to say other incomes which are taxable in India, which are accruing in India, arising in India, or received in India. They will be taxed as per normal slab rates. Normal slab rates as in either under old scheme or under new scheme, new tax regime, whatever he chooses. Plus surcharge plus health and education cess. Health and education cess will be at the rate of 4%. Surcharge will be same, whatever is applicable to residents, 0, 10, 15, 25 or 37% if income exceeds 5 crore. With same restriction, no deduction for actual expenditure except for transfer expense incurred to earn capital gain, stamp duty, brokerage, registration charges. No chapter 6A, no indexation and no basic exemption. Same 4 restriction will apply here also, just like preceding chapter, but it is for NRI chapter is optional, that's why this chapter is segregated from the preceding chapter, chapter 12. Otherwise, it is on the same lines. If he chooses to be governed by normal provisions of the Income Tax Act, then normal provisions can be applied. But in normal, again he will have two options, old scheme and new scheme. Default tax regime is the new tax regime, or old tax regime, normal tax rate, if he opts out of 115 BAC. Even for non-residents, NRI also 115 BAC will be default scheme, just like us. Okay, this chapter is optional means what? So for example, out of the two incomes, long-term capital gain or investment income from foreign exchange asset, suppose he has forex income, he has investment income from foreign exchange asset of 10 lakh rupees. Then two option, option 1, special provisions of this chapter whereby entire 10 lakh will be taxed at 20% flat rate plus surcharge plus health and education cess. Surcharge will not be attracted here because income does not exceed 50 lakh. Tax will be 2 lakh plus health and education cess 4%, 8,000. Total tax will be 2 lakh 8,000. I am not considering health and education cess right now. If he opts for normal provision, under normal he has two options. By default, new tax regime. If new tax regime is applied, then what will happen? First 3 lakh rupees no tax, next 4 lakh rupees. If you recollect, slab rates have been again changed for new tax scheme by Nirmala Sitharamanji. Next slab was going to be 3 lakh to 6 lakhs but has been made 3 lakhs to 7 lakhs. Next 4 lakhs will be taxed at 5%, tax would be 20,000, and balance 3 lakhs will be taxed under next 10% slab, tax will be 30,000, total tax thus will be 50,000. 50,000 plus health and education cess 4%, surcharge will not be attracted here, tax would be accordingly 50,000. 50 versus 2 lakh, naturally new tax provision or normal provisions are more beneficial. So he can choose whichever is beneficial. Choice can be made every year on a year-to-year basis. Of course, this is not same as DTAA chapter, therefore choice not to be made for each income. Selection between special provisions of chapter 12A and other provisions of Income Tax Act, other provisions other than chapter 12A, choice not to be made income wise, choice to be made year wise for all the incomes combined together. However, so it will be like this, in case instead of new tax provisions, new tax regime, in case he decides to go for old tax regime, normal provisions but old tax regime, then what will happen? Then here under special provisions, tax will remain same, 2 lakhs plus health and education cess, but here first 2.5 lakh no tax, next 2.5 lakh will be 5% and balance 5 lakhs will be taxed at 20% rate. Here tax will be more, 0, 12,500 or 1 and 1 lakh, total tax will be 1,12,500, of course, plus health and education cess. Under new scheme, tax was 50,000 plus health and education cess. Here old scheme 1,12,000, 1,12,500 and special provisions 2 lakh rupees. Which one is beneficial? So technically we will have three options. Okay, so now supposingly this was with a low amount of income, 10 lakh rupees. In case he has very high amount of investment income, supposingly Mr. Y NRI, he has got 100 lakhs of income instead of 10 lakh. In case he opts to be governed by special provisions, then 100 lakh into 20%, tax will be 20 lakh. Here surcharge will be attracted, which I am ignoring for the time being. Surcharge will be at the rate of 10% because income is more than 50 lakhs being individual, more than 50 lakhs but up to 1 crore. Income is not exceeding 1 crore, therefore 15% will not apply, 10% will apply. And in case he goes for normal provisions, or I would say other provisions of the Income Tax Act other than chapter 12A, other provisions other than chapter 12A, then under new tax regime versus old tax regime, new tax regime what will happen? 100 lakhs. If you recollect, out of 100 lakh, here tax is 20 lakh plus surcharge plus health and education cess, and 115 BSC, first 3 lakhs no tax, next 4 lakhs 20,000 5%, next 3 lakhs 10% 30,000, next 2 lakhs, that is 10 lakhs to 12 lakhs will be at 15% 30,000 again, next 3 lakhs 12 lakh to 15 lakhs will be at 20% will be 60,000, and remaining 85 lakhs will be taxed at 30%, tax would be 25.5 lakh. total tax payable will be 26 plus 90, 26,90,000. If I am not wrong, 2690. Yes, 26,90,000 plus surcharge plus health and education cess. Surcharge is attracted here also. Surcharge here also will be at the rate of 10% because income is 100 lakhs. So 20 lakh versus 2690 plus surcharge. Which one is beneficial? Special provisions are beneficial. So he has to make a choice. Sometimes normal provisions could be more beneficial. Sometimes special provisions could be more beneficial. If you can understand, with a higher amount of income, special provisions are more beneficial, and with a lower amount of investment income, normal provisions are more beneficial. He has to make a choice on a year-to-year basis. As per section 115I, he can make a choice every year, can change it. Why special provisions are more beneficial? In spite of flat rate 20%, if you compare it with the new tax regime or even with old tax regime, normal provision, then you will find that here, though basic exemption is available, 5%, 10%, 15% lower tax rates are available, then also here tax liability is more. For a reason, major chunk of income falls under 30% slab. That is what is killing. Okay. In case he opts for normal provisions, old scheme, then what will happen? Here tax is 28 lakh. In case he goes for old tax regime, then tax will be 28 lakh 12,500, which is even more than under new scheme. Okay. This chapter is only for specified income and only for specified person. Specified person is NRI, and the specified incomes are LTCG on forex asset and investment income on forex asset. He can go for normal tax rate with two options, old tax regime and new tax regime, new and old. Very first section, now starting with the chapter, that was introduction. Very first section is 115C, which is not to be done again. Definition, 3-4 definitions are there. First definition is of NRI. NRI means three conditions. Number one, he should be individual, plus he should be Indian, that means citizen of India or person of Indian origin, plus he should be non-resident in India for the given previous year. Foreign exchange asset definition is slightly important. Foreign exchange asset means any of the following assets which are acquired or purchased in foreign currency, any foreign currency. 5 assets are there, fifth one is not there, technically 4 assets. Number one, shares of Indian company. It could be equity shares or preference shares, it could be of private company or public company, anything is fine because nothing is clarified, simply says shares of Indian company. Shares you will have to remember, from shares one can earn dividend income or capital gain. Capital gain long term is covered by this chapter, short term capital gains are not covered. Second is debenture, but for debentures they have clarified Indian public company, of Indian public company, from debenture one can earn interest income. Third is deposits, that is FD with again Indian public company, from here also one can earn interest. Last is securities, but not of state government, securities of central government. Central government security, again you will have interest. This chapter ideally you will have interest income and dividend income. For these incomes you will have choice, either 20% flat rate under this chapter or slab rates. Investment income definition not to be checked again. Investment income means income from the above mentioned foreign exchange asset, and LTCG is also defined, which is also not to be done. LTCG means gain arising from transfer of any of the above mentioned forex asset, which is not short term, then it is long term. Stupid definition. 115D imposes restrictions, says while calculating, 4 restrictions we have discussed, which is divided into 3 parts. Says while computing investment income, no deduction will be allowed for any actual expenditure, but for capital gain, transfer expenses will be allowed, indexation benefit not allowed. So 2 restrictions are done here, actual expenditure not allowed, indexation not allowed. Indexation is no more allowed otherwise also from 23rd July onwards. Chapter 6 is not allowed and basic exemption not allowed. At what rate will it be taxed then? So tax rates are slightly changed from 23rd July 24. Investment income will be taxed at 20% plus surcharge plus health and education cess, whereas LTCGs were taxable at 10% rate if transferred up to 22nd July 2024. If transferred on or after 23rd July, then here also the rate is increased to 12.5%, just the way increase for everyone. Okay, but without indexation. So indexation was not going to be allowed earlier also, now also not allowed, but the rate is increased. So tax liability will increase. Only 2 incomes are covered here. plus surcharge plus health and education cess. Surcharge rate will be same, just the way applicable to people like you and me, 0, 10%, 15%, 25%, 37% based on amount of NTI. NTI including these special incomes as well as other normal incomes. 37% will not apply if opting for 115 BSc subsection 1A, but will be applicable under special provisions of chapter 12A as well as under normal provisions, old scheme. 37% will apply. Okay, rebate under 87A is only for resident individuals, not for non-resident, therefore not available. And same way, under old tax scheme, higher basic exemption of 3 lakh and 5 lakh is also only for resident senior citizen or resident very senior citizen, cannot be claimed by non-residents. If he has other income also then taxable in India, then other income will be taxed not as per this chapter, other income will be taxable as per other provisions and normal rates. And for normal rates, that means slab rates, again we will have two options, either new tax regime 115 BSc which is default tax regime, or old tax regime which is optional in case he exercises the option under 115 BSc subsection 6 and opts out of new scheme and opts for old scheme. Here also scheme can be changed. If he has PGBP income, then scheme can be changed only one, from old to new, new to old. And in case he has no PGBP income, then scheme can be changed, old versus new, scheme can be changed every year. Whatever applicable to us will apply to these people also. 115F is a exemption from capital gain similar to section 54F with a time limit of investment in the new asset given in 54EC 6 months. So just like 54F, sell one forex asset, buy another forex asset, but within the time limit given in this section, 6 months, capital gain chapter if you recollect, exemption on LTCG arising from transfer of foreign exchange asset. Sell one forex asset, buy another asset, acquire another asset, or sale proceeds to be invested or utilized in another foreign exchange asset within 6 months from the date of transfer, then exemption is possible. Before we proceed further, let me clarify, once the non-resident Mr. X, he brings foreign exchange to India, he remits foreign exchange, then immediately it will be converted into Indian rupees. When he deposits in NRE or NRO account, it will be converted into Indian rupees. So though we say that foreign exchange asset means asset acquired using foreign currency, that does not mean the asset should be acquired actually in dollars only. It could be this situation also where originally dollars are brought or any foreign currency is brought which is automatically converted into Indian currency, and from there he purchases shares of Indian company, that will be qualified as forex asset. It will be considered as forex asset, though actually acquired immediate source of acquisition is Indian rupees, but original source of acquisition is foreign currency, then it will be forex asset. Now these shares are sold, sale proceeds will be in Indian rupees, and from Indian rupees he purchases shares of another company which will be in Indian rupees, then also exemption will be available, because for claiming exemption one has to acquire another forex asset. So this will be, though acquired in Indian rupees, these shares, original shares will also be forex asset, these shares will also be forex asset though acquired in Indian rupees. Are you getting this point? These are all clarified in income tax rules. So how much to be invested in a new asset? New asset, just like 54F, invest sale proceeds and not capital gain amount. Let's try to understand with the help of an example. If sale proceeds, for example, are 103, transfer expenses are 3 lakh, 103 minus 3, net sale consideration is 100, and the asset was acquired, the one which is transferred was acquired for 40 lakhs, no indexation, transfer expenses are allowed, indexation not allowed. Now no one can claim, not only NRI. So minus 40 lakhs, LTCG is 60 lakhs, then in such situation, how much is required to be invested in the new forex asset to claim full exemption? Answer, net sale proceeds and not capital gain amount. Capital gain chapter, if you recollect, there were 8 exemptions. We had discussed section 54 till 54F. Everywhere LTCG amount was to be invested. So everywhere else, what was it? Invest 60 lakhs. Invest 60 lakhs, you get exemption of 60. You invest 59, you get exemption of 59. You invest 30, you get exemption of 30. But here it will not be like that. Here you invest 100, in this section, then you get exemption of 60 in this proportion of net sale proceeds to capital gain, in that ratio, which need not be 100:60 every time. 100:60 is in this example. It could be different. It could be whatever is the sale consideration is to capital gain. So here 100 is to be invested. If you invest 100, you get exemption of 60. But in case you don't invest 100, lesser amount is invested, then exemption will be in proportion to net sale proceeds utilized. If 50 is invested, then exemption will be 10:6 ratio, 5:3 ratio, 30 will be exempt. 60 is invested, then 36 will be exempt. 40 is invested, then 24 will be exempt, and so on. 10 is invested, then 6 will be exempt, balance will be taxable. Taxable at what rate? Balance taxable will be taxable either at 10% rate or 12.5% rate, depending upon when is it sold, plus surcharge plus health and education cess. But lock-in period, just the way in capital gain chapter we studied lock-in period, here also the new asset should not be sold, transferred or converted into money. That means lock-in period for 3 years. For next 3 years, asset will have to be retained. If sold or converted 3 years from the date of his acquisition. If sold, then what will happen? Then whatever exemption was granted will be withdrawn and will be taxable in the year of violation. LTCG exempted earlier will become taxable in the year of violation. Apart from this exempted capital gain becoming now taxable, there could be further extra capital gain also arising. So this new asset, for example, is acquired for 100 lakh, exemption claim is 60. Now with year 2, that is before completing 3 years, this asset is sold for 108. Then what will happen? Minus cost of acquisition is 100. There is a further short term capital gain, most probably short term capital gain, could be long term also, 8 lakh plus 60 lakh exempted earlier will also become taxable. Total 68 will become taxable if violation taking place before expiry of locking period. 115G, IT return not required, just like previous chapter. If 2 conditions are satisfied, then IT return not required if both conditions satisfied. I said not required, need not be filed. If he wants to file, he can always file. Which 2 condition? Number 1, he has no other income other than these 2 incomes covered by this chapter, LTCG from transfer of forex asset and investment income. And second condition, TDS on these 2 incomes has been correctly deducted at source. Then no need to file IT return. If he wants to file, he can. Either of the condition is not satisfied, he has other income also, then he will be required to file IT return as per 139(1) assessment procedure chapter. 115H and 115I 2 sections are left out, but alphabetically 115H comes first, but I always take up 115I first. 115-I, it says that if you recollect at the beginning of the chapter, we discussed this chapter is optional. Optional, agreed, but then how to choose the option, how to change the option. So it says if no option is selected and he is non-resident Indian, NRI, and no option is selected, then by default special provisions of this chapter will be applicable on 2 incomes. However, in case he is NRI and during the period when he is NRI, he does not want to opt for chapter 12A, normal provisions, means other than the provisions of this chapter are found to be more beneficial, whether old scheme or new scheme, old regime or new tax regime, normal is found more beneficial. He can choose normal by filing IT return. Simply file IT return if normal provisions are found more beneficial. There is one more condition which does not apply anymore, that one had to make an application in writing to AO that for this year I would like to go for other provisions of the Income Tax Act, normal provision. But this condition cannot be fulfilled. Simply file IT return. In IT return, the moment you fill up your NRI, one option will pop up whether you want to select chapter 12A or not. Say yes or no, select any one of them, and then remaining pages will open up accordingly. So in your notes is given this way. This option can be changed every year on a year-to-year basis, but option not to be selected income wise, all incomes combined together. You can't say for investment income I would want to go for old scheme, chapter 12A, and for LTCG I want to go for new tax regime. That is not possible. Now what if he becomes resident? After becoming resident, by default normal provisions will be applicable. That means provisions of other part of the Income Tax Act other than chapter 12A. after becoming resident by default. But after becoming resident, can he claim Chapter 12A if that is found more beneficial? Answer logically no, but answer is yes, he can. The new provisions, the Chapter 12A provisions are offered to him not because he is non-resident or resident. He is non-resident, agreed, or he was non-resident, he has become resident, but Chapter 12A beneficial tax provisions were applicable to him or offered to him not because he was non-resident, but because he brought precious foreign currency to our country, that's why, which he has already bought. Now he becomes resident, so he has not committed any crime by becoming resident. New Chapter 12A provisions will still be offered to him according to 115H. So after becoming resident, by default, normal provisions other than the provisions of Chapter 12A will become applicable to him. But if special provisions of Chapter 12A are found to be more beneficial, he can opt for it by fulfilling two conditions. First condition is standard, file IT return. Second condition no more applies, whereby he had to make an application to AO in writing on a plain piece of paper that, sir, for this year after becoming resident also I would still like to opt for Chapter 12A. Now the second condition cannot be fulfilled. Simply in IT return option will be there. Once you select resident in the residential status, it will ask you whether you want to go for Chapter 12A or not. Yes or no. Two options will be there. However, from exam perspective, questions don't come on 115H or 115I. It is only for real life perspective. Option here also can be changed every year on a year-to-year basis, even after becoming resident. However, after becoming resident, Chapter 12A can be opted only for investment income, not for LTCG. Not for LTCG. For LTCG, normal provisions will continue to be applicable. Doesn't matter, because in normal provisions also tax rates are same, 10% and 12.5%. Here also tax rates are same. So for LTCG, whether he chooses Chapter 12A or other than Chapter 12A, other provision makes no difference. Everything is same. Even under other provisions also indexation not allowed, Chapter 12A also indexation not allowed. And only till the time he holds forex asset. Naturally, once all the forex assets are sold off, he cannot claim benefit of Chapter 12A. He does not have forex asset, then on which income will he claim Chapter 12A, right? So only for investment income, only till he holds forex asset, and even for investment income also other than dividend, except for shares of Indian company after becoming resident. Special provisions can be opted out of 4 forex assets: shares of Indian company, debentures of Indian public company, deposits with Indian public company, and securities of central government. After becoming resident, he can choose Chapter 12A only for 3 assets: debentures of Indian company, deposits with Indian public company, and securities of central government. Cannot choose it for shares, except of shares of Indian company. However, all these things don't come in the exam. Normal practical question will come. So 115H is given this way. So overall, assessee NRI will have 2 options. He can choose either option 1 special provisions or option 2 normal provision. Normal provisions means provisions of other part of the Income Tax Act other than Chapter 12A. Okay. In case he goes for second option, then entire income will be taxed as per normal rate. Entire income. But if he chooses option 1 special provisions of Chapter 12A, then special income will be taxed at special rates. 2 incomes are special incomes. All other income will be taxed at normal rate. And under Chapter 12A, basic exemption limit, if you ask me, deduction for expenses, deduction for Chapter 6A, and indexation. For these questions, if you ask, then when he chooses normal provision option 2, everything is allowed. Everything will be allowed. Basic exemption also allowed, Chapter 6A also allowed, expenditure also allowed, indexation also allowed. Everything is allowed. But in case he chooses special provisions of Chapter 12A, then under Chapter 12A also all these benefits are allowable. These benefits are not allowed under special provision against special income, but against normal income these benefits are allowable. Actual expenditure deduction not allowed under option 1 against special income, but against normal income allowed. Chapter 6 है not allowed against special income but allowed against normal income, and indexation not allowed against special LTCG but allowed against other LTCG, but now no more allowed, so I would put a cancellation mark. Allowed up to 22nd July 24, 23rd July onwards not allowed, depending upon the date. Both the places, these two places, yes also and no also, yes also and no also, depending upon date of transfer, right? However, here when indexation is allowed under second option, when indexation is allowed, at that time indexation not allowed on two assets, shares and debentures of Indian company, if transferred up to 22nd July, then indexation allowed, otherwise not allowed. Here when indexation is allowed except in case of two assets, shares of Indian company and debentures of Indian company, which are acquired in convertible foreign currency. If you recollect capital gain chapter, in capital gain chapter first proviso to section 48(1), we had discussed that indexation not allowed on these two assets, shares or debentures of Indian company acquired in foreign currency, and assessee is non-resident. Then 4 conditions satisfied, then proviso 1 to section 48(1) gets triggered. Indexation not allowed and capital gain will have to be calculated in foreign currency, and after by converting everything, sale consideration, transfer expense, cost of acquisition, everything from Indian currency you convert into foreign currency, calculate capital gain in foreign currency, final answer of capital gain which is in foreign currency reconverted back into Indian currency by applying telegraphic transfer rate of State Bank of India, telegraphic transfer buying rate. This procedure is described in proviso 1 to section 48. Then indexation not allowed on those two assets even if transferred up to 22nd July. That's it. With that, this revision of this chapter comes to an end. See you in the next video with the next chapter.